listening to Strides and Vibes. Whether you're on a long run, a lunch break, or stretching out with your foam roller, welcome to the podcast all about moving better, living healthier, and vibing higher. I'm your host, Mario Buchs, elite running coach, ultra-endurance athlete, and founder of Healthetica Coaching, coming to you from the trails, tracks, and streets of Gadigal country in Sydney, Australia. Each episode, I'll bring in guests from all walks, from coaches, athletes to world-class performers, as well as doctors and professionals in their fields, to unpack their stories and explore the mindset shifts, science, and practical strategies that help us go the distance in running and in life. So, lace up, tune in, and let's move towards a better you, one stride at a time. Hello, hello. Welcome back, or welcome to the Strides and Vibes show, or as we call it, it's a podcast. Today we have a lovely guest, Josephine Zappia. Welcome to the Strides and Vibes show, stroke podcast. How are you today?
Very well. Thanks, Mario. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So just my little introduction to or about Josephine. We met last year. We kind of connected a little bit. Yeah, it's all about homeopathy and natural healing and things like that. And we're going to dig quite deep today, which is great. So Josephine is a homeopath, natural healer, and this is where my interest rose immediately when we met last year at the Speakers Institute boot camp, and because that's a 3-day course and it's pretty raw. People talk about the inner things, and the 30 other people kind of get to know you within 3 days. But yeah, it's not about that today. So I ask my guests the same question every time. Josephine, what makes you you?
Well, I would have to say my passion and devotion to well-being and natural healing. It's a way of life for me now, and I operate from there. So that would definitely make me me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people don't just wake up one morning and decide I'm going to be a homeopath. So maybe if you just want to tell us briefly if there's anything that drew you specifically to homeopathy, and maybe if there was a personal experience, maybe not feeling well or things like that. So
Yes, there was, Mario. I in my 20s, I experienced a life-changing event, and I was feeling quite unwell mentally, physically, emotionally, and I went and tried the conventional medicine route just as a default, because I was raised with conventional medicine. So I went and tried it, and it just didn't work for me. It actually made me feel worse. So that led me to natural therapies. My body kept saying, okay, where to next, where to go. So that led me to natural therapies. And the more I spoke to the people, the lecturers, the practitioners, it really resonated with me. It just landed. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is for me. And then, yeah, the rest is history.
Flick of the switch moment, huh? And now it's your absolute passion and your lifestyle. And you know, we spoke prior to the podcast and also last year. You love helping people, which is great. This is what I try and do as well. And this is what we do on this podcast. We get people in who love coaching, who love mentoring, who love leading people and pointing people in the right direction. I have a little bit of history with homeopathy. My grandmother in Switzerland, obviously, you know, my parents and my background is Switzerland and from the mountains. Tough upbringing, you know, conventional medicine wasn't always available. So my grandmother was pretty much in tune with homeopathy and natural healing. You know, she would bring me fennel tea and all this kind of stuff when I came back from, you know, being out and about with my friends and had a big night out, and she tried to help me like that, which was it actually worked, to be quite honest. Of course, an aspirin also worked, and you know, in all honesty, but seriously, I think for those people who've never touched on the subject of homeopathy or natural healing, or just kind of remotely heard about it, how would you explain it to someone who doesn't know anything about it?
Okay, so homeopathy is energetic medicine, and it comes from nature, predominantly from plants, animals, and minerals. It does also come from humans. So human healthy secretions, human diseased tissue. That's getting a little bit complex. So I'll just stick with the basics of nature. Yeah. So plants, animals, and minerals. And it takes the crude substance. And as we know, like there are substances in nature that are toxic. So as from an animal, that would be snake venom. From a plant, that would be the opium plant. And from a mineral, that would be arsenicum. So homeopathy takes the crude substance and it dilutes it of its toxic effect. So rendering it useless, basically. And then one's going to say, oh, okay, so what do we do with that now? So then it is succussed. And a succussion is like a mortar and pestle. You've ever used a mortar and pestle to do up your pesto with your basil? So that's a succussion. And the succussion is what raises its energy, and that's what is said to affect the cure.
Okay, brilliant. So you mentioned all the different varieties that come from. As you know, there's a bit of a not a movement. I wouldn't call it a movement because I'm part of it. People who live a plant-based or a vegan lifestyle. Is there any issue with them taking this on board? Or I mean, I know.
Look, absolutely not.
Okay.
A lot of my colleagues that I studied with and continue to see, they are vegans themselves. And yeah, there's no problem at all. I think probably because the animals are not being treated poorly. Like if you are extracting snake venom or dog's milk or however you're extracting that, they're treated very nicely. They're not treated badly at all. So I would say that's the reason.
Perfect. Because there's many reasons people do a plant-based or have a plant-based
Yeah.
lifestyle. Some come from that animal, looking after the animals, the planet background, which speaks for itself. I went down that route because I just feel better. And then, of course, if I can look after the animal kingdom at the same time and the planet, that's obviously perfect, But I'm no evangelist. It works for me. But it's just always important to understand, that this is safe to take. I mean, honey is always one of those subjects. I know where my honey comes from. I like honey. I think it's good for us. And if the bees are happy and they're not harmed, then I think that's a good thing to do. But again, that's everybody's own opinion. Of course, there's always going to be skepticism around these things, natural healing, homeopathy and things. So someone who's a little bit skeptical, what do you tell those people in your nice way, Joseph?
I generally tell people that I've been using it for 20 years. I've been treating my family and patients for 20 years, and the results are undeniable. And I would also say that it was J.D. Rockefeller who largely led to the shutdown of homeopathy because he had such financial support in conventional medicine, right? But he loved homeopathy and he used it. And he famously said that homeopathy is a progressive and aggressive step in medicine. So I would say, I would look at that.
So he was scared of it, but obviously he couldn't monetize it, so he dismissed it. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. That's great stuff. Awesome. That's awesome information. So, I mean, this is also a podcast for people who kind of love the outdoors, endurance people, runners, ultra runners, and things like that. We know how our body, kind of can deal with a lot of different things, and it gets tough. Some of the listeners have run events that go 2, 3, 4 days, or 10 hours, 15 hours, or whatever it is, or triathlons, and we know how to hurt, right? And we know what the body is capable of. But in terms of healing, what's your view? And what's the body capable of in terms of healing when you let it?
Yeah, I truly believe that the body is capable of healing itself, given the right environment, given the right. Yeah,
good.
It can restore itself for sure.
So what are the main things that you see out there that you have to treat? Is there certain ailments that you say, that's not? It's like running injuries. We'll talk about that later on because I've got a few questions there. But there's certain running injuries that come up and over again. Is there a similarity where you say, yeah, this is the main issue with humans nowadays, with where we live, our environment we're in? What's that? What's the number one issue?
The number one that are coming to me are skin conditions and allergies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And asthma and coughs.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like
That's what's coming to me. Yes.
eczema and things like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eczema, psoriasis, acne. I do get a lot of allergies and then bronchitis, asthma, and some digestive disturbances as well. And then anxiety as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you then? Okay, so obviously you need to pin these people down, and you can ask all the right questions to get enough information out of them. And it's we don't need to go through the questions that you ask the people, but for me, it's always interesting. Obviously, how do we extract the information that we require as a whatever it is, a coach or a healer or something like that. So for me, it's always important to understand what the human is going through. But do you see our daily stresses, like you say 20 years now, since 20 years, you've been healing people and helping people. Is stress a factor? We have a lot of different stresses that we don't even know we're stressed. People are stressed without knowing it. We're doing more. We've got our mobile phone on all the time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Stuff at home. Is that related to this?
Look, I think so. I saw a lot more stress and anxiety and depression from 2020. So the lockdowns.
Okay.
I didn't see that as positive. I thought a lot of people, their symptoms were exacerbated due to depression, stress, loneliness. So yeah, that I did notice, and was very busy during that time.
That's very interesting. I thought, we went through the ringer there. I was just talking this morning when I was in the gym with my personal trainer, what we did, it was
an interesting time to be alive.
Oh, it was great.
That's for sure.
It was fantastic. I mean, it was quite interesting actually, and how everybody dealt with it, But
Yes.
so does and if homeopathy does it, or if it differs from natural healing or herbalism or naturopathy, does it differ? Or is it the same? And if it differs, what's the difference?
Okay, yes, no, they certainly are different. So herbalism is herbs.
Yeah.
Naturopathy is quite broad. Naturopathy will use herbs. They'll use vitamins and supplements. They will change your diet. They will look into nutrition. And then some naturopaths will also incorporate iridology, massage, maybe kinesiology, and lifestyle changes. So that's naturopathy.
Okay.
Whereas homeopathy is its own medicine altogether, separate from that. Homeopathy is working, as we said, we're working with energy. So we're not adding anything to the body with homeopathy. We're working with what the body's already got. And in my opinion, adding something to the body, whether it's natural or not, it gives the pharmaceutical effect, right? Because it's saying, I need something outside of me to heal me. We're not doing that with homeopathy. We're working with what the body's already got. We're not adding anything. Does that make sense?
Total sense, yeah. Because, and I might be wrong here, we might want to differentiate, okay, this person needs healing, and I understand from our discussions prior to the podcast and when we spoke last year when we met, you look after the whole person, which I'm a huge fan of. So this is also the route I'm going with this podcast. I want people to look at the human first approach, the holistic view. I kind of want to do this with my coaching, with my run coaching and corporate coaching and things like that. So you look at the whole person, but there's healing, right? That's where people come to you. But I take supplements, and I take supplements for the sheer fact that my body just cannot keep up producing what it has to produce, right? In winter, I might take a little bit more vitamin C. Throughout the year, I take vitamin D. I'm iron deficient. I've got a bone mineral density issue, which is something that I've spoken about prior, and I've written articles and stuff about that. So would that be different? Am I right saying, okay, I need healing, and let's do it the way that you've just described with homeopathy, where we don't add something to the body, we help the body with what it's already got. And then you've got someone who's like a little bit more athletic, they cannot keep up. Like, I mean, I speak to, I have in my network, a good doctor with blood tests, and then I see nutritionists who really, kind of understand what's going on. Am I on the right path here, or?
You are. Strictly speaking, it's its own medicine. It doesn't need anything else to complement. But, we're not living in a bubble, we're living out there. So there are going to be times when I will say to a patient, yes, take this vitamin C or take this fish oil short term. It's just short term to get us where we want to be. And then you don't have to have it anymore. Because generally, because we're a whole, one thing cascades onto another. So when we do heal, you'll find you don't need the iron supplement anymore, because you're creating it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think, I'm just thinking because I think it's fascinating. I really do. And I hope the audience thinks the same. It's like, so you're dealing with this person, so then either in an emotional or mental state, is that as important as the physical symptoms that you see? Because you're obviously discussing and you kind of, because if it's not right here, I always say to my runners, and my runners will say, oh, here he goes again. I want happy runners, right? There is coaching for development and coaching for performance. Yes, of course, we want to perform. And as a human being, we want to be the best on the day when we pin up the number or whatever it is we do in our triathlon or whatever. But I think the mental state is such an important factor. If people are not willing to be coached in your case or be healed, it'll be quite a struggle for you as well, I guess.
100%. Absolutely no question that the mental state is just as important as the physical state. I do believe that the body has its own intelligence. However, we are connected. So there's mind and body connection for sure. And those mental symptoms are just as important for me to get to create my prescription, right? Because we're a whole. So how does someone think? How are they wired is very important for me to understand. It's not because 3 people that come in with eczema will all leave with 3 different remedies. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like everybody's their own person and their own. Yeah. We are all so different, huh?
And I actually talk. Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry,
carry on.
I briefly touch on the psychology of injuries in my book. It's such an interesting topic. Like because the same remedy that's given for an injury will also be given for the mental symptom of grief. And interestingly enough, when that is healed, the accidents stop happening. So It's a fascinating topic, and I only just touched on it briefly in my book, but I could expand on that.
I think you need a second book. Plus,
Yeah,
I'd like you
absolutely.
to expand on this, because when it comes to injuries, you'll have 100% of listeners saying, "Hold on, now I'm listening."
Yeah,
we're
now you've got
17
my
minutes
attention.
in. We're 17 minutes in. We haven't lost all of them. They're now listening, because that's a very important subject. So the book is called "Heal by Josephine." People.
Yes.
Get out there. It's a #1 selling Amazon bestseller. Yes. And elaborate. Injury with grief. Oh, this is great. Please take your time.
So we're looking at the subconscious level. The remedies work. They're gently taking off one layer at a time. And I often do say to my patients that the awareness is everything. As the layers come off, the awareness of our patterns comes to the forefront, and is not just in the subconscious. Because when it's subconscious, we don't know we're doing it. We don't, and so we'll just say, "Oh, I don't have that problem," or whatever. But as the potencies increase of your remedy, so does the awareness of your patterns. And then once we become aware of our patterns, we stop doing certain things that then create an accident.
Okay, so we're
Are
talking
you with me?
accident. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
we're talking about accidents, of course. So what about injuries as, like overuse injuries? So this is maybe, I don't know, if you've got any experience with that. So we usually talk about overuse injuries because running, swimming, cycling is kind of the same
yeah,
thing over and over again. So, if we're not strong enough to do certain things or workouts, running's like really pounding. It's okay. People say, oh, knees and all this. If we do it correctly, it'll be fine.
yeah,
That's why there's
yeah.
running coaches out there and all this kind of stuff. But so so you're saying that you can heal, not heal, but kind of help guide someone along when they are injured from an overuse injury as well.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah. So there are some wonderful, wonderful remedies that are in the first aid um, kit, and so some of them they come from the flower, from the plant family actually,
yeah,
and plants are connected to sensitivity. So so this is what we use for aches and sprains and bruising as well. So arnica is one of them. One of them. There's ruta, there's rustox, aconite. I would suggest to have those in the first aid kit. And I actually find the Shusla tissue salts, so I can't say that properly, Shusla tissue salts, they
yes.
are really good for the local level.
Ah, okay.
Because a lot of the time with homeopathy, we're working at the baseline, we're
Yes,
working
that's
down
right.
here. But if we do have an injury, then we're looking at the local level. So those tissue salts actually work quite well.
Excellent. See, up here, there, they're all essential oils, people.
Oh, wow, yeah.
My first go-to, yeah, I love them. That's only about half of what we have in the house at the moment. So I'm not here to advertise a certain brand. People with good eyes can see what it is, but we've been doing them for number of years. I use them for digestion. I use them for
Oh, fabulous.
yeah, that's my first go-to. So I have a little foot spa
Okay.
at home. So I put in frankincense, peppermint,
Oh,
lavender oils.
lovely,
So
lovely.
yeah, all the
I
all the
have to
stuff.
make you up a little homeopathic kit
That would be
for you to
great. Yeah, that
keep,
would be awesome.
and then
Yeah.
you can tell me how you go with that. Yeah.
Absolutely, I'd love that. Yeah, we've got books. So my wife, I wouldn't say she studied it, but when she did her massage course many years ago, she started dabbling into essential oils as well, and I just fell in love with
Yeah.
it because
Yeah. They're
I
fabulous.
that's always my first go-to. I mean, if you've got a broken bone, you've got a broken bone. End of story. You need to. That's a different
Yes.
story. But kind of this maintenance, and I think it's because I'm an engineer by trade. Machine maintenance is much better then, so it's like the preventative maintenance then if there's a breakdown, because many people understand who are out there, when does something go wrong? It's always in the middle of the night. So if you're in a newspaper plant at 3 a.m., that newspaper has to go out, and that's when the machine shuts down if you don't do the right preventative maintenance. So the
Wow.
same
Yeah.
thing happens to our body as well. There's no good time to be injured, but there is kind
No.
of preventative maintenance stuff. I mean, I've just been to the Cairo at lunch today just for that kind of, yeah, she just puts me on the straight and narrow again. So
Okay.
this is just
Okay.
something that I usually talk about with everybody. So yeah, just staying on this whole runner and athlete and kind of performance thing. You've spoken about, this is like maintenance and helping to heal the body with natural products, which is fantastic, or homeopathy. Um, what about kind of overuse stuff? So we this is our biggest problem in the running world, I think, the overuse. Is it just a maintenance thing, or is there a
Look,
homeopathy path that we can take? Say, okay, you're always injured. This is the same thing over and over again, other than
look, I,
strength work.
yeah. I would look at a few things there. Initially, I would say, I think that those the hot cold circuits, like the cold plunge and then the hot sauna and things like massages, I think recovery is really important. And I know with some high achievers, like you wouldn't dare say to them, just go and have a rest, because you'd be like telling them like to stop being you. So
Yeah.
so you wouldn't say that. But I think the recovery part is very important. And so I would maybe even have them look at it as a performance priming while it's a recovery performance priming. So they're looking at it that way, because that is really important. Then, if there is something else underlying, then we'd have a home, like a constitutional consultation, and prescribe there. If they're constantly getting injuries, then it goes back to, okay, what mental symptoms correlate with that? That's
Excellent.
how I would approach that.
I really, really like that. I have to be honest. This is very similar to the approach I have. So you've just mentioned the right thing, right? You didn't
Oh,
say type A, but yeah, the guys, high achievers, right? In every sport, or that can be a CEO. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to
yeah.
be sport related. Uh, so how do you deal with them? You'll get type A, let's say. Let's call them type A. Everybody knows who that is. Let's call them athletes or high achievers in their
hmm
work. How do you
hmm
handle them?
Well, as I was saying before, it depends what's going on with them. If it's a runner, then I would suggest those practical things, as in the body needs recovery. So, and then I think it's a matter of terminology of how you're putting it to them. It's not rest, it's recovery, and at the same time you're priming for your performance. So often it's just how we word things as to how they're going to take that on board. And then absolutely would look at a constitutional prescription for what may be going on underneath. Is there fear going on? Is there guilt for some reason? What's stopping, if it is stopping, or what's it making like recurrent injuries, depending on what's going on. But yeah, but with a high achiever, I think it's the way we word what we're saying, what we're
Back to
doing.
coaching, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Back to coaching, mentoring. This is such I don't know, it's such an important part of everywhere, and people seem to forget that that's what coaches do, independent of what they do,
yeah.
life coaches, sales coaches, whatever. I just find that fascinating. Um, I always say, look, people are under recovered rather than overtrained, because our brain will stop us from overtraining. I don't think that, and I will put it out there, people can ring me up and call me and text me and shame me, but I think overtraining doesn't exist. I think under recovery exists. And I think
Mm,
the guy at the top of the pedestal at the Olympics, the guy who's swinging, or the woman swinging the gold medal, are the ones that recovered faster, and so they could then
yes,
go harder again in training. And this is how I put it to people. I says, if you recover well, you can go hard again.
exactly.
You
And the
know,
homeopathic remedies that are given will help the recovery as well, as in you'll bounce back faster.
perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
excellent. So I'm just swinging back a couple of questions now. You mentioned, I mean, and I love that thing where you say, okay, just take these supplements for 3 months and then we'll see how you go. I went through that last year, so I'm just talking from experience, where I had to take some calcium pills just to aid my recovery,
hmm
because, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis, so then you need to kind of give it a kickstart to help the healing. Um, but then my nutritionist said, look, we'll do this for 3 months and then we're done. Um, and I like that approach where she says, look, and then we'll do it with actual
Yes,
food. So I'm
it's
now
not investment.
eating, my snacks are calcium high snacks,
Uh-huh.
and perfect. That's really been helping, because I do DEXA scan every couple of months to see how that's going. So obviously, I need something that's measuring that. So, eating the right food, because you can do as much as you want probably in your practice, but if the people don't really take notice of their whole lifestyle approach
Exactly.
towards
Yeah.
this, it's maybe going to take a little bit longer to
Yes.
to heal. Yeah. So
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we're not here to talk about diets, people. Absolutely not. I've never had a diet, and I will never do a diet, because I don't think it works. Um, Long term, of course, there's always this 6 week thing where we lose 20 kilos and then we
Yeah.
gain another 30, which is easy.
It needs to sustain that,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? Yeah, otherwise it's pointless.
And if it's hard work, people will not do it. It's
Mm,
difficult. So,
mm.
um, so what? Just as we round out now, because I think we're getting a hell of a lot out of this. This is fantastic.
Oh, great.
I So what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have and I really want people to understand what homeopathy is, because I think it's a
Mm.
great thing, and I think natural healing, herbalists, I think that's all got their place as well. I mean, I come from a country that lives off chemicals. You know, Switzerland, you know, they make the pharmaceutical industry is huge. And you know, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying there's a lot of things we can do before we jump to whatever it needs to be, you know. So what's the biggest misconceptions people have against or with homeopathy?
I would say the biggest misconception is that it's as simple as matching the symptom to the remedy.
Okay.
And when we do that in first aid cases, in acute cases, we do that. But homeopathy is much deeper and far acting than that. And a lot of the time, if it's a chronic condition, if it's something that's been around a long time, then matching the symptom to the remedy is that's why it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. There's a lot of other layers to be considered. And we need to be prescribing down here at the baseline, at the source, right?
Otherwise, we're just band-aiding, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a misconception. A lot of people just go, oh, yeah, arnica. Everyone knows arnica. Oh, okay, we've got a strain, we'll just use that. Homeopathy goes much deeper than that.
That's great. See, I didn't know that, and I love that. That's important. No, because at the end of the day, we want to give people opportunity to make a decision for themselves, you know, and say, look, I want to do this and I want to do this. But if you don't understand what's out there, then you're only going to do what you know, right? Yeah. And this is what I would like to do today with you, is just open this up, people's mind a little bit, and say, oh, okay, there's other things out there. I always bring up the subject when we talk about, how much is a bottle of oil? Doesn't matter which one. And I say, whatever, $40. Oh, that's a lot of money. I says, yeah, what happens if you have a headache? You run to the bloody pharmacy and you're going to spend $35 on something that lasts you not even a week because you need to take 2 pills a day and the packet is gone. Yeah. I have oils here that I use every week. They're 5 years old. The bottle is not even half empty, so I'm just talking, you know, this is just, again, biased. Yeah. I'm just putting it out there. Things like that.
And if you prorata a lot of people say, oh, well, the initial consultation is expensive or the remedies are expensive. If they're going to get you off medication, you know, if you look at it over an annual, it's actually a lot cheaper.
Absolutely.
It's actually, and then not to mention you're healthier.
We're all around better, yeah? It's like, why would you run? Yeah, because I come home a happier person. I can get more work done, which makes me happier. I might be a better husband at times when I'm not that cranky and I'm injured in bed or whatever, you know? So, yeah, it all fits together. I mean, at the end of the day, it's that lifestyle. We're rounding it out with going back to that lifestyle. So you just mentioned a little bit how... you can build kits for people that kind of just some every day. So that's fantastic. And of course, listeners who are interested, I will put all your details at the bottom of the of the notes as well. So if people say, "Oh, this was fantastic," we'll share the website. But before we close, is there something you want people to remember? Just 1-2 sentences from today.
There's a couple of other things, actually, because you've got runners in your audience. I think they would benefit from some of the remedies for like toenail fungus and athlete's foot as well. So some of those might be silica, or sulfur is a big one, big for the itch, graphites. So some of them in a runner's kit I think would be really, really great.
Perfect.
And now, sorry, to answer your question about what would I leave viewers with? What would I leave them with? Oh gosh, health it really is a lifestyle, but it's so worth it. So worth it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I can't add anything to that. That's fantastic. I really, really love this. Thank you so much, Josephine. And I don't just hope people got a lot out of it. I know they got a lot out of it, and maybe they walk around the street with a bit of a different mind towards what else is out there. Yeah. Thank you so much. Huh?
Thank you, Mario. My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye. Bye.
That's it for this episode, folks. As we wrap up, I want to honor the traditional custodians of the land I'm recording on and pay my respects to elders past and present. May we continue to listen, learn, and tread lightly wherever we run. If today's episode sparked something in you, hit that share button, leave a review, or drop a comment on Spotify or YouTube. Every little bit helps keep the momentum going. Or even if you've got a question, feedback, or just want to say hi, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep moving, stay curious, and never forget, showing up is the hardest and bravest stride of all.